10 bizarre medieval punishments you won't believe existed. If you like this kind of weird, gross, and kinda hilarious history, hit that like, subscribe, or follow. Alright, medieval times, not just knights and dragons, but punishments so strange they'll make you laugh, cringe, or straight up question humanity. Let's get into it. 1. The ducking stool. Sounds cute, right? Nope, absolutely terrifying. This punishment targeted women mostly, who were accused of being nags, scolds, or just too loud in public. Basically, if you embarrassed your husband, argued too much, or spoke out of turn, congratulations, you were eligible. The process? A woman was strapped to a chair, attached to a long wooden beam. Then, over and over, she was dunked into a river or pond, sometimes dozens of times, sometimes until she almost drowned. Crowds would gather, cheering, laughing, and pointing. Kids included. Public punishment was entertainment, and the louder the screams, the better the show. Some lucky women survived because they were strong swimmers. Some didn't. And in the cruel logic of the time, if you drowned, that was sometimes seen as proof of innocence, which doesn't really help you at that point. 2. The pillory next. The pillory, think of it as medieval viral shame, but with mud, rotten vegetables, and sometimes worse. Your head and hands were locked into a wooden frame, standing in the middle of the town square. No shade, no escape, no privacy, and for hours, sometimes for entire days. Villagers were free to throw whatever they wanted. Mud, rotten food, animal waste. Rocks, yep, that happened too. People lost teeth and even eyes. Infections were common afterward, and townsfolk rarely cared. And the humiliation didn't end when the frame came down. Everyone knew your face and your crime. Your reputation was ruined for months, sometimes years. And in a society where your community literally determined your survival, public shame could be more devastating than death itself. 3. The scold's bridle. Ever been called a chatterbox? In the Middle Ages, that could get you a metal spike in your mouth. The scold's bridle was an iron mask locked over the head, with a spike or plate pressing down on the tongue. It prevented talking, eating, and even swallowing properly in some cases. Mostly used on women accused of being outspoken, it was designed to silence and shame. They'd be paraded through town, everyone staring, laughing, pointing. Move your tongue the wrong way. Sharp pain, sometimes bleeding, sometimes panic. This wasn't just punishment, it was psychological terror combined with physical pain. 4. The breaking wheel. Now we're moving into truly dark territory, the breaking wheel. Criminals were tied to a large wooden wheel with limbs stretched out. Executioners smashed bones methodically with hammers or iron bars, slowly, painfully, limb by limb. The goal wasn't immediate death, it was prolonged suffering. Once broken, the victim's body could be woven into the wheel and displayed on a pole until death from exposure or shock. Sometimes birds finished the job. It was considered an honorable death for certain crimes, like murder or treason. The twisted logic of medieval justice, suffering as spectacle, was both horrifying and strangely ritualistic. 5. Boiling or burning alive. Steal a loaf of bread, forge coins, upset the king. Some places said, "We'll make an example of you." Boiling alive was common for counterfeiters. Huge cauldrons filled with water, oil, or pitch were heated slowly. Then the criminal was plunged in. Burning alive was equally common, especially for heretics or religious dissenters. Executions were public events. People cheered. Vendors sold snacks. Families brought children. Justice wasn't subtle. It was theatrical and meant to be seen. And remember, these weren't isolated incidents. Across Europe, over centuries, these punishments were routine. 6. The rack. Next, the rack. Torture. Perfected. Victims were tied by their wrists and ankles to a wooden frame. Executioners then slowly turned the device, pulling the body apart. Joints popped, muscles tore, bones sometimes dislocated entirely. Interrogators continued until the victim confessed or could no longer scream. Confessions under torture were considered valid, so people admitted to crimes they didn't commit. Some survived, permanently maimed. Others didn't survive at all. The rack wasn't just about extracting truth. It was a display of control, a warning to anyone thinking of defying authority. 7. Rat torture. Here's nightmare fuel: rat torture. A metal cage was placed on the chest or stomach, filled with live rats. Heat was applied to the cage. Rats, trying to escape, would gnaw through flesh. It was fast, terrifyingly effective, and gruesomely precise. Used to extract confessions, rat torture exemplified the extremes of medieval ingenuity. People literally used animals as executioners, proving that in medieval justice, nothing was off limits. 8. The stocks not jail. Not violent, just slow, public misery. Hands, feet, sometimes even the neck, locked into wooden boards in the town square. You could be stuck there for hours, sometimes days. Weather didn't matter. Rain, sun, or snow, it was part of the punishment. Crowds were merciless. Kids poked and teased. Animals wandered over. Trash thrown. Of course, the humiliation was the point. 9. Branding and mutilation. For some crimes, punishment was permanent. Thieves had ears cut off, tongues removed, fingers taken, faces branded with hot irons, letters burned into skin so everyone knew your crime: liar, thief, traitor. This punishment followed you everywhere, for life. No second chances, no apologies. The pain was physical and the shame psychological, combined in a form of permanent societal exile. 10. Public execution spectacles. Finally, the biggest show: the executions themselves. These were not private affairs. Entire towns stopped to watch. Merchants sold food. Families brought children. Some executions were planned like festivals: hanging, beheading, burning at the stake. They were meant to teach a lesson, enforce obedience, and intimidate. Justice was theater. And in medieval Europe, nobody missed opening night. And that's just a taste. The Middle Ages: brutal, bizarre, and completely insane. We barely scratched the surface. Next time your Wi-Fi goes out, remember, at least you're not strapped to a wheel, feeding rats with your stomach, or standing in the stocks for days. If you enjoyed this, hit that like, follow, and comment where you're watching from. Stay curious, stay safe, and maybe don't get on the wrong side of history.